Hey everybody, good morning. It is Friday here in New York. Biggest thing is that we are within the range for viewing the weather forecast for November 7th, which is the day of the New York City Marathon. So I would, and I think most runners would suggest the same, not to focus too much on the weather report for the race this far out, because it just doesn't matter. It's not something that you can control. But I also know, as well as probably anybody else, that you're going to start checking the marathon weather report. I'm going to look at the weather report. So that's what we're going to look at today. Is this going to be a good day to, really meet our goals, or for anyone to set a PR, or is this going to be a little bit warmer like some of the races? Chicago was a warm one this year. I think London was pretty warm. So it's been trending warm this year, and it's unfortunate, but nonetheless, it'll still be a blast to get out there and run the New York City Marathon. But let's take a look at the weather today. Before we do that, I'm just going to dive into a few other things quickly, and we'll get back to the weather in just a minute. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. We're focused on just running content, different reviews on products, but mostly just me getting out there and doing a daily running vlog. If you don't want to subscribe, or this isn't really for you, then if you could leave a like on the video, that would be awesome and really would be appreciated. Okay, so with that out of the way, like I said, we're going to take a look at the weather, but first things first, let's take a look at the course overview and just go over some of the things I'm doing in my taper. Friday is generally a day that I am not running. It's my day to rest and really stretch out and foam roll, and just stay off the legs for the most part throughout the whole training block. I just felt like I needed a solid day of rest where I'm not running. I don't do any cross training or anything like this on Friday. It's really just a day to let the legs recover, and that's not going to change during our taper. So with that said, I've been doing a lot of foam rolling really in general over the past couple of weeks. More focused, in this week I've been doing more stretching, foam rolling, using the Theragun, making sure that I'm doing everything I can to really freshen up the legs. Because I kind of mentioned it yesterday while I was out running. Whenever I find myself that I do a good taper, I'm staying active, I'm keeping the pattern of my running going, but I reduce the volume and really get my legs fresh. The first 18 to 20 miles of the marathon are like a piece of cake. Like, you just go out, you crank it out. It feels like nothing. You could run a pretty fast half marathon. You cruise right through that all the way up, like I said, to like 18, 19, 20 miles. And then it really hits and you got to dig in. So I'm just trying to freshen up the legs to try and make that the same experience this year. And I think it's true for anybody. The more you can just cruise on autopilot through the first 15 to 20 miles, then the less you have to really use your mind to think through that, last 10 to, 6 to 10 miles where things are going to get really difficult. Your body's going to start telling you want to stop, but you want to keep going. And you got to really kind of overcome the way your legs feel and what your body's kind of telling you, because in your mind that you can do it. You have all the training behind it. So that's just something that you need to focus on. And like I said, being really fresh and ready will get you through more than the first half of the race on autopilot, so you can then really think about and focus on those last 6 to 10 miles where things start to hurt and you really got to dig in. So yeah, like I mentioned, I've just been foam rolling everything through my calves, inside, outside of my calves, back of my calves, hamstrings, thighs, quads, all the sides of my legs on the lateral, outside, IT band area, internally, kind of near the groin, even rolling in there. You can start to feel some tightness after a long training block. And that's where the Theragun helps me as well. I'm able to just kind of do some extra work in there, really try and loosen things up, make things feel fresh, get any kind of stiffness and soreness out there. I've been stretching more outside after my runs, stretching inside as well. I actually just have like an old slip dog leash that I bought that I use as a rope to help with different stretches on my floor, things like that, that I'll do, after a run or on a day like today where I'm not running, just in the morning. Really anything I can do to stay loose, and again, just make sure I'm really fresh going into the race on Sunday. This is going to be the first race I have in over a year and a half, and it's a big one. So yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm comfortable going into it. That way it's a good experience and it's not something where I'm struggling or miserable from, the 10-mile mark. That's the last thing I want to do. I really want to go out there and enjoy this, and I'm going to be filming the race and my experience while I'm actually running the course. So yeah, I don't want to be filming myself upset, frowning, miserable, out of breath for half the video. I want to try and get a lot of the course, really all the way up over the Queensboro Bridge is around mile 16. So I should be able to get through that pretty well, then get some shots of, First Avenue in the city in Manhattan, where there's a lot of crowds. And then after that, you'll probably see me really trying to work my way through the Bronx and back up through Central Park. But hey, if I can get 15 to 16 miles on camera where I'm not struggling, then that's a win in my book. The other exciting thing is that the New York City Marathon app is up and running. They release a new version every year, so that way you can track family and friends throughout the marathon and actually watch them on a live map. It's just, if you look in the App Store for, either Google or Android, I'm sure you can find it for the New York City Marathon app or TCS New York City Marathon. But if you look here, I was able to find myself. You can search by bib or by name. You can find runners, and then on race day, you'll actually see on this big map where your runners are along the course. You can zoom in, zoom out, take a look at different things. Even if you're just running the marathon yourself, you can actually use it to see a map of the start village. So there's a really clear picture when you zoom in of, the green, orange, and blue areas. I'm going to be in green this year, so, we'll be able to, or I can view for myself, and I've actually been there before, so I know the layout, but you can see where some of the hydration is, the food is, the bathrooms are going to be, and then you get a sense of, once they start to call the corrals, in green, I'm going to move under the bridge, and then you do like a pre-lineup in a certain section, which every single color you'll see, there's A through, whatever letter in that section. You line up there. Usually that's where you then take off your outer layers that you may have had so you stay warm in the morning, throw them in the clothing donation bins, and then they drop a line and you actually move again around the little area to the actual starting line where you then again group up and line up. This time with no separation, so technically some people could mix between A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on, but that's where you actually line up and where you're going to go and run through the starting mats when they say go. So it's a very complicated process, but again, it's just kind of nice to see and mentally prepare. If you're running, you can see that in the app itself and take a look in the map. So just a tip for anybody who's never been there before, get a sense of, where you're going to be and what you're going to be doing that morning. Okay, so back to the weather. After you've trained, you've done all this preparation, obviously everybody wants a nice, cool race morning with, maybe some overcast skies, no sun beating down on you, and certainly no rain. So we'll see how it is. But ultimately, we can see now 9 days out with some certain level of accuracy what the temperatures are going to be, if there's going to be any major rainstorms coming through. And honestly, the weather looks pretty good. I'm happy with it compared to, something again like Chicago, which I think got pretty warm that day. The thing that is rough a little bit is that the corrals have kind of spread out this year for New York City. So even though my projected finish time, based on all the other racing with New York Roadrunners, is actually exactly the same as the year prior, the 2019 race I started at 9 a.m., but this year, because they're spreading out runners more, I'm going to be starting at 10 a.m. So I'm actually, instead of Corral C and Wave 1, which I was 25 to 50 yards from the starting line of the whole marathon, the cannon went off and I was right there at the start at 9:05 a.m. This year is going to be 10. I'm in Corral A, so I'm going to be right at the front of the race, but Wave 2. So the thing is, now I'm going to be finishing somewhere in the afternoon, between 1 and 2 p.m. And so the temperature that day, that whatever the high is actually going to impact, me running in the tail end of the race. Whereas when I started at 9 a.m. and actually was in honestly better shape in 2019, I was done probably around 12:30, I think. So I kind of beat the heat or the hottest part of the day, even though it was cooler in 2019. But so anyway, it's going to start around 45 degrees that morning, and it will go up to around 52 to 54 degrees. So it's not too bad. Like I said, it could have been a lot worse. Chicago was very warm. Some of the other races were very warm this year. And it's actually been a warm October where a lot of days were in the 70s. So I'll take it. It's not a bad thing at all. I prefer to race myself probably around 45 to 48 degrees. that's ideal for me. That's me in a tank top and shorts, and that's, what I like to race in, just to be able to stay cool and not have to have my body to do too much work, having to cool itself off. So it's not perfect, but it's fine. There's going to be some overcast skies. It looks like it's, partly cloudy, at least for now, and not too high of a chance of rain. So hopefully that means the humidity will be somewhat lower, and that the clouds can help block out the sun for, portions of the race, so it's not too hot all the time. But so with that, that's my short update for today. Like I said, it's going to be a rest day, so really nothing else going on, but I just wanted to share some of those updates, kind of talk about the weather a little bit, because that's a big factor for anybody who's racing a marathon, and just kind of let you all know that the app is up and running, so get ready to track your runners. If you want to track me, it's completely public. I don't think I have any kind of privacy settings set on me, so if you want to follow along, feel free to do so. But yeah, more importantly, get your friends and family lined up in the app, so that way when the day comes, you just click on the map and you'll see your family running around. So it's fun, it's pretty cool. It helps, especially if you're going to actually be there and try and meet up with them in different spots. I posted a video not too long ago about kind of a spectator guide for the marathon. So if you want to check that out, feel free to do so. And then obviously use the app to see where your runners are and make sure that you're going to be on time to get to different spots where you can wave at them and yell at them. So just one more time, if you want to subscribe, click subscribe down below. Leave a like on the video if you could. It just helps out the channel. But with that, we'll get back to running this weekend. We have our last, quote unquote long run, although it is the taper. So we're going to have 4 miles on Saturday and just 8 miles on Sunday. And then, it really just kind of cuts down right into the marathon on November 7th. Again, I'm excited. It just really makes it hard to put thoughts together. It's been a long time since I've been out there racing, and I'm excited to do it again. But I hope you want to follow along and you come back to see, what I'm able to film from the actual marathon myself, from my point of view. But until then, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.